I'm going in search of witches.
Witches.
Witches. I guess you found me out, huh? Yeah. You should come around here on Halloween. You'd really see something then.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we all jump off the roof and fly.
Sort of like a coven. You have placed Fester under some strange sexual spell.
At what time will we be spellcasting?
Hey there, witches, and welcome to Moonstone Witchery, the podcast where we talk about witchcraft and spirituality in a modern context. My name is Rhian Lockhart, and I'm super happy to be here with you today. So I'm recording this episode as a follow-up, or really like a sibling to the one that I just put out. So the one I put out just now was about like, what in the actual F do we do right about now with the world being how it is, right? And it's kind of like a love letter to your spirit, that one. It's kind of like reminding you of who you truly are, not the person that goes to work and has a job and does all the things that you're supposed to do, but the person who you are inside, the person who your spirit knows itself to be, the person who fought through every hard battle you fought through, who's done endless amounts of self-work and shadow work, and who's pulled yourself up from whatever depths you have found yourself in your life. And I know if you're listening to this, you're a fighter, you're a survivor. You are someone who doesn't just let things take you out. And even if at times you have been taken out by life, you've risen up again, you've stood back up because you have an inner sense of who you are. You have an awareness that your spirit is connected to your body and your mind. And because of that, you have been trying probably for years and succeeding probably for years with letting your spirit move through your body and participate in your life. And so in that episode, when I kept talking about being who you are, that's what I mean. That's who I'm talking to. That inner version of you that's like connected on some deep way to something far more beautiful and profound than just this world that we find ourselves in. And that episode, that love letter to your spirit, is designed to help you remember to be that version of you and to let that version of you continue to exist in this world that we are in right now. No matter how hard or impossible that might seem, it was to remind you that the greatest thing you can do is to continue to allow your spirit to live here, even when here doesn't match your spirit anymore. Because we can revive that energy. We can bring it back. We can create a whole world from that place. We just got to keep it safe and hold on tight. This episode is a sibling, a sister, a cousin, bestie, whatever it is, to that episode. Because that one is meant to remind you of who you are. And this one is meant to help you know what you can do. This episode is about some FAFO energy, some justice energy, some redemption. FAFO means F around and find out, right? It's kind of like you can go ahead and do what you're doing and you're going to receive the consequences of those actions. Now, in a perfect world, right, we'd like to assume that that's the natural way of things. There's a cause and effect. There's an action and a consequence. I mean, that's the origin story of laws and morality and ethics and stuff. But what we know now is that, like, we're living in a world where it really doesn't go like that. This is because of the power dynamic created by money and capitalism, the power dynamic created by the patriarchy. This is because of the power dynamic that happens when there are hierarchical structures in place that say some people are better than other people. And when you start to have a ranking system that is arbitrary and not based on merit or alignment, but based instead on random external qualifiers and quantifiers of people and situations, well, then the energy has nothing to do with anything. The behaviors are not judged on their value or their worth or their alignment or whether they are good or not. Things are judged based on, like I said, arbitrary value systems such as money or property back in the day, or your race, your gender, your class, your socioeconomic standing. And because our culture is really hinged upon these things, the idea of consequences becomes really skewed and really corrupted and really dark. And we're watching certain files become released that demonstrate this so much. It doesn't matter in this world, as how this world stands, whether you're doing something good or bad, right or wrong. The only thing that seems to matter on the level by which this world is being run, not for the average everyday person, although that too in a way, but really up on that level, it doesn't matter whether you're doing things correctly, being a good person, having morals of any kind. What matters is how much money you have and how much power you have as a result of that money. This is a world turned upside down. This is as far from grace and connection and holiness and spirit that you can get. When I was young, I used to be like convinced, because unshockingly, right, I'm a super philosophical person and I always have been. I used to have this document in my like Windows computer, and it was just called Thoughts, and it was like 300 pages of like me trying to figure out like, what the fuck is this world and why are we here? Like philosophy, analysis, like figuring it all out. I have wished so many times I could find that computer and like read whatever I was like going through or like concluding at that point, because I'm like, I bet I thought of something that I have forgotten about now and it would be helpful. But in that time period, in that era of my life, a huge thing that I was really kind of like living inside of for a while was like, I think we might be in hell, right? Like I had evidence, like I really, and sometimes when I'm in a space, I can easily go back there. It's always a thought. I mean, at this stage in my life, I don't really live inside of my philosophical endeavors or my little journeys into thought as much as I used to. At this stage, I tend to just kind of hold them all next to me, but at that time I was like really trying them on and really like seeing how it felt to live inside of these ideas. And I was like, oh, I think we might actually be in hell. Like, it makes sense. It's like the ultimate detachment from spirit. Like so many people here are not connected to their spiritual selves, right? Or to any line of communication with the divine or their higher self or the source energy of all that is, or the universe, whatever words. But so it's like the ultimate detachment. It's a very embodied experience here. The key factor, the key differentiation point from us versus being on a spiritual plane, the thing that really makes it profound is the suffering. Because we are suffering by being here. Being embodied is pain. Spirit doesn't have pain. It doesn't have that tangible component. But I'm talking even in like an esoteric kind of conceptual way, the pain of the separation, the pain of the lie that we are alone, or that we are detached from source energy, or that we are not connected to everything. There's suffering in the scarcity. And this place is full of some scarcity. I mean, anywhere that you are definitely going to die has a scarcity of time for you. And so I like really lived in this thing, this like maybe we're in hell thing for a minute, because the facts sort of check out, right? But at the same time, I don't believe in hell. So this was me toying with these binary concepts and these ideas of like heaven and hell. And like, I guess I was kind of really like coming to terms with a lot of things about myself and trying to figure out the counterpoint to like, oh, I'm going to go to hell, with kind of like I think I'm already there though. So what difference does it make? And that's also the energy I was bringing to the previous episode, which is like, even in hell, we can find some brightness, some peace, some connection. Even in hell, we have some form of autonomy and choice making. And if we're not in hell, then even here. And I think that's important to remember and to recognize. I was like writing this like, I don't know if it's a poem or some like weird creative writing kind of blip for myself the other day. And I was talking about how I tend to gaslight myself about my own PTSD because I don't allow my PTSD to paralyze me or to halt me or to stop me or to break me down. And because I am still very functional, I tend to gaslight myself into thinking like, I guess my trauma wasn't that bad. Or I guess like my PTSD isn't that real. Or I like weirdly like judge myself because I am still functional. And the thing I was writing about was like, I have just learned how to have a flashback and still do the dishes. Like I have just forced myself to have a flashback and continue what I'm doing. And a lot of that comes from, well, repetition of skill building and like therapeutic intervention and self-work. But it also comes from this place of like absolute, very intentional, very strong defiance. I am a very naturally defiant person. I'm sure this doesn't surprise many of you. I'm defiant in the way that I won't let things, situations, circumstances, people, I just won't let them bend me in a way that doesn't align with me. And this is a direct result of me choosing many, many years ago to always follow my intuition, as it is my lifeline to spiritual connection, as it is the only thing I have in this potential hellscape, right, that keeps me safe. The reason is that I made that decision really as a young child, but I lived inside that, and I still do, because I was so aware that like whatever was happening around me did not feel right. And you're an energy reader. You know, you can sense energy. So I know you get this. You know when the vibes are off. You know when it feels weird. You know when it feels bad. You know when it's like, whoa, what's that? And if you can get beyond seeking validation, by the way, and needing anyone else to agree with you, you can go real far here. Because it's your inner compass that is like, vibes are off. You can create a profoundly beautiful, supportive, helpful, magical life for yourself if you choose to listen to your intuition and your spiritual connection at all costs, at all times, no matter what. Because that is your safety line. I used to say that I feel like atheists are kind of like the bravest people here because they chose to incarnate without that lifeline. Like, I think I said, I'm only going down there if I have like an astronaut suit connecting me back to spirit and a walkie-talkie and a radio, and like I am in a bubble and I know I'm connected the whole time and I can hear you and you can hear me. Like, I think I had terms and conditions, which definitely sounds like me. Because I've been able to talk to them forever. I wouldn't have survived without it. And there have been times in my life that I've been so mad at my guides that I've like turned that radio off. I have. Those were hard times. But I think it is far more brave to trust your connection to spirit here than it is to try to conform to what they're telling you you're supposed to do. You will be safer if you listen to yourself, to your guidance. Because see, if I say listen to yourself, that could mean a multitude of things. How many versions of the self are there? So many. There's a triggered version, there's a traumatized version, there's a perfectionist version, there's a happy version, there's an in love version, there's a scared version. But if I say listen to your inner guidance, listen to your intuition, listen to the point within you that is connected to spirit, that's constant, that's consistent. That is a fixed point in you, which is why I spend so much of the early part of my work here trying to teach everybody how to get in touch with that part of themselves, because it is crucial for survival, in my opinion. It is crucial for thriving, and it is crucial for doing the work that I'm talking about in the previous episode. And I think that my defiance, while I'm talking to you, a big blue jay just came into my bird aquarium. A big part of the defiance that I am mentioning comes from the fact that I listened so hard to that connection. And I refuse to go against it. And there's some Bible verses that talk about like, do not sin against God. The greatest sin is the sin against God. The greatest sin there could be is against the one against God, where you just don't trust God. See, for me, I turn the word God into that spiritual connection. I turn the word God into that intuitive point in your body. And sin being defined as a harmful moment, an unfortunate choice there, a thing that takes you away from, right, your spiritual center, your spiritual safety, the holiness of the truth of yourself, as it was originally intended to be about. So we must get in touch with those versions of ourselves. We must get in touch with those places within ourselves where we can connect to our guide point, our compass, whatever we want to call it. So I'm bringing this up, right? Because whether this is technically hell or not, it's behaving like hell here. And I gave us the pep talk. I was like, hey, whatever, the best thing you can do is to not forget who you are. Keep it safe, because you're keeping it safe for yourself and you're keeping it safe for the world that is to come. Now, what I don't want to do with that post or that whatever episode is to leave people thinking that I am trying to be like, love and light, everything's fine, because I'm really not doing that, okay? What I'm doing is I'm being like, everything is terrible. Do not become terrible too. Don't let it wear you down to the point that you are vibrating at a zero frequency, that you have lost yourself completely, that you have turned into a zombie. They want that. Don't give them what they want. There's the defiance. What I'm saying is stay so radically you that they can't even touch you. They're trying, but they can't even touch you. Hold that light. You stay strong. You be yourself. Fuck them. That's what I'm saying. And why am I saying that? Because it is important to distribute retribution for these things. It is important to usher in the energy of, oh, hell fucking no. But we cannot usher that energy in appropriately or effectively if we are coming from a place of fear, anxiety, depletion of the spirit, and operating from a sense of like the human who is stuck here in this twisted, turn it up, fucking crazy ass dimensional place. If we're like too hard in their energy, we cannot effectively combat it. I'm hoping this makes sense. See, what I'm trying to do is answer questions that I've been receiving a lot. And some of those questions are like, what do we do? There has to be something we can do. There is stuff we can do. And it's complicated. And it requires self-work. And herein lies, like, just as a small mini little tangent, just really to gratify myself probably, herein lies a lot of the hardships with this work, right? Because I happen to know that so much of what people are seeking, and they want it to be kind of a little bit quick or easy, so much of those things require multi-steps to achieve. And so much of those steps require shadow work and like self-work and a willingness to see things differently and a willingness to do things a certain way and to come from like an appropriate energy. And people don't really want to do that. Now, this is different. This isn't like, hey, I want to summon forth like a healed family. And like, but yet I'm not really willing to do the self-work to do that. I just want to snap my fingers and can't they just be healed? This is different. This is like people are really in an excavation space right now. Thank you, Pluto and Aquarius. People are really in an excavation space right now, willing to kind of dig down into the roots and like pull things up and look at them and be like, whoa, right? And so I'm like really hopeful here. But I'm releasing these episodes in the order that I am on purpose because you need to go find out, remember, cradle your truest self before you do this part with the justice work, because it has to come from the right place. Otherwise, you are feeding an energy that you don't want to feed. So when FAFO, when someone FAFOs, they get a return of the energy that they have put out. And this is not karma. I've talked about this before. Karma is a Hindu concept that is commentating on the energy return across multiple incarnations and lifetimes. Okay? It is not just a cause and effect in a momentary capacity. Karma is about what you've done in this life shapes in many ways what you're walking into in the next life. It's like one of those pieces of art where it's like the image itself is an image, but the abstract space around the image is also an image. That's karma. Like think about that like those two vases and they look like two people looking at each other when you look at the white instead of the black part. Like the black is the vases, but the white is two people looking at each other. That's karma. What currently happens shapes the next life. Okay? Cause and effect is kind of a commentary on like consequences, right? Like I'll say to my kids, like, if you don't do your homework, then you're not going anywhere after school. That's just cause and effect. If this, then that. Physics is like equal and opposite reaction, or when I do this, that force happens, that experience happens, that thing comes back. So there's versions of this. Now FAFO, okay, FAFO in my world. So I've just released some FAFO candles. I've released FAFO oil. I have more FAFO candles coming soon, I think. Because I think I dropped the second batch, or either way, I can get more FAFO candles on board. But the way I do FAFO, the way I've always done a spell that is like designed like for fuck around, find out, is like this. Whatever energy you have put out in this lifetime towards people, if the energy coming from this person is harmful, damaging, traumatizing, triggering, painful, whatever, may that person receive an equal amount of the same energy that they have put out onto others. May it instantly, and I don't say may, it instantly comes back into their life. They instantly receive, here's how I say it. They instantly receive the same caliber of harmful, traumatizing, negative, whatever energy back into their own life. Essentially, it's like tipping the scales, balancing the scales in terms of damage done. Now, FAFO can mean a lot of things to a lot of practitioners because it's just a phrase. You're going to F around, you're going to find out. I mean, that could mean anything. That could mean if you cross me, then your life goes to shit. We don't know. It's all dependent on the practitioner. If then spells exist, they're wards. They're like loaded wards. So I could have a word that could say, just going to make something up. If someone steps onto my property and they're not wanted here, then they will fall and hurt themselves. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to fall and hurt themselves when they're on my property. But if they triggered that if-then ward, they will fall. Remember, energy's neutral. A lot of people get so hung up with justice magic around like the whole part of like, what if I don't deserve to be doing this spell? What if I'm wrong? What if this? What if that? No one's giving command codes to the energy field. So when you're setting wards or you're doing spells, you're the only person inputting a command code. That's why it's going to work. You can input any command code that you so choose. The energy field that we're living in is really like a computer program in that way. Okay, so if you just learn how to speak the language, it just does the command. You can get a return if somebody else sends that to you, or if you curse yourself through your own belief system and enter your own command codes about yourself in there. But FAFO can be anything. My version of FAFO is if you've been putting out harm is going to now get directed to you in equal measures through the command codes that I'm going to send your way. You put out like 50 gallons of trauma onto other people, well, I'm going to just redistribute 50 gallons of trauma right on back to you in equal measures. Justice magic is about aligning and balancing. Justice magic is a boundary. It's saying like, no, it is not okay for XYZ thing to happen. And I'm going to kind of direct the flow of this river of energy over to you because you need to be put in check, because you need to be put in balance. A lot of the responsibility of being a witch, and there is responsibility when you are a witch, much of it is about being able to recognize that you can recognize. This is why I try to get people off of like self-doubt so hard, because it's like so disempowering. It's like wasting your own time. Like, if you can't give yourself the credit, like, I know energy, I understand energy, I can recognize energy, I can work with energy. If you stay there, can I really? Oh my gosh, I don't know. Like, maybe, am I doing it good enough? Oh my God, like, did I mess this up? Did I mess that up? It didn't go exactly how I thought. Like, you can like waste so much of your own time right at the entryway, and you're trying to explore a whole ass castle here. Like, get in the door and walk through. Walk around. Because if you can't recognize that you can recognize energy, then you can't work with it. You can't use it. If you keep tripping yourself up with all this self-doubt at the door, you're not going to get anywhere. And then your self-doubt's going to just fulfill itself for whatever reason. And nobody needs that, right? So if you can recognize that you are an energy worker, mover, okay? I was talking to my friend once a couple years ago about this. A psychic is someone who can read and interpret and translate energy. A psychic intuitive is really like, and a medium. We're translators. We speak both languages. We can speak the language of spirit, and then we translate it to the regular world here. We're just translators, which is why you don't take responsibility for the messages that you get, BT-dubs. But so a psychic is a translator, an energy reader. A witch is an energy mover. She, they, he, whatever, takes the energy and pushes it like a little boat onto a pond in the direction that they want it to go. That's what a witch does. Remember, my definition of a witch is someone who knows that they can impact the energy of their space and their life and who chooses to do so on purpose. That's it, full stop. So if you recognize that you can recognize energy, right? Okay. And you are aware that you can read and feel and sense and see and understand the energy of situations. I personally, now this is me having my own personal beliefs. So take them or leave them, listen to them or toss them in the trash. I personally feel that we're almost obligated to keep it in balance. Because if we can see and understand and comprehend the importance of balance and not letting things get too unhinged one way or another, we are obligated to maintain some of that balance. Now, there are a lot of witches out there who do not give a flying fuck about this. They will skew the table. They will slant it, tilt it, whatever. Stack it in their own favor without regard because they can. I don't move like that. I don't like that. I let those people's lives sort themselves out for the most part. Or I bring a little FAFO in, or I bring a little bit of magic over, or I bring some balancing to the circumstance because I believe it is important to keep things in check. Because just like what I was talking about in the last episode, where you can love someone so much that you don't want to allow them to behave out of character, you can also love yourself and the world and people around you so much that you cannot allow unchecked power dynamics to be this far skewed. I mean, everyone's so worried with justice magic, like it's going to come back on them. Like, bitch, stand up for other people. Like, I'm sorry. I'm going to say this, and I'm just going to truth bomb it a little bit. It's somewhat narcissistic how afraid everybody is of magic. Narcissistic's too strong of a word, but selfish. I mean, there's no good way to say this. I'm going to offend people. Because it's like you're centering yourself so hard. You're centering your fear so hard. You're centering these what ifs so much that you're like losing the big picture is more important sometimes. And yes, I will spend time, and I want to teaching everybody how to do things correctly. I have petition writing clinics all over the place. I have so many ways that you can like ask for support. And still, it's ultimately going to come down to you. Like, am I willing to try to tilt some scales? And here's the thing. I'm only recording this episode because so many people are willing. And for that, I am proud of you guys. It took me a long time to be able to speak on this because I get in my own head too much. I think too much. I get too concerned, or I've been in my own little pit of despair and like losing faith in things and struggling with my constant, like, why are we even here, right? Like, I hate it here, okay? I just saw a meme today that was like, this escape room sucks. And it was this lady that was like, sir, I told you, you're living on planet Earth, like something like that. Like you're incarnated here. You're not in an escape room. I was like, fucking facts, man. Like I get into those spaces. I'm not different than you guys. But I also hesitated for so long because I know that I have to be like, hey, like get over yourself. And that's not fun to hear ever. I don't like saying it to you. Because I also want to validate the shit out of you. I also want to be like, I know it's hard. I know it's scary. I know everything's overwhelming. Like, because it is, man. Both things can be true. Everything that you're feeling, thinking, is scared of, whatever, can be valid. And we also kind of need to get over ourselves and stop wallowing in our fear so much because, like, it's non-productive. I think that's the thing of it. Like, I think I have an intolerance for processing our feelings for so long that it begins to become counterproductive and its own little spiral. And that's where I'm like, okay, we got to keep moving, you know? So some of that energy is where I'm coming from. And I get it. I understand all of this is new and hard and different. But we're at a stage now, right? Where if we can do the thing from the previous episode, if we can like remember who we are, like find our light, protect it, keep it safe, now we can stand in a place where we can recognize that we're able to impact energy. We're able to recognize that we can see when things are off balance. We're able to know that like, okay, crazy things are happening. A lot of us are like here because we can influence the energy. And there hasn't been a good time for it. There is so much happening in the astrology that is making the circumstances open up right now beautifully for work to actually matter. For a really long time, the astrology was not compliant with any work mattering here. It wasn't. But we are at a shifting point. There have been big, giant transits happening in the past 2 weeks and for the past year. We're at a point now that the astrology is impacting the collective in a way that makes witch work in this realm, FAFO justice-aligned witch work, very compliant, very helpful, easy to get there. I mean, easy is relative. So I want you now to be like, okay, I remember who I am. I'm going to stand in my power. And now I'm going to do some justice work. Justice work is not effective if you don't come from an empowered place. Justice work is not effective if you are just coming from panic or fear or guilt or shame or whatever. I don't want to say not effective. It'll do something. Way more effective, though, if you are coming from an empowered space. One of the things I've been like screaming on social media is like, cast your work from a place of being right, not from a place of being afraid. That is like the most succinct way I can say that. Because if you're coming from a place of like, oh my God, everybody panic, the whole world's on fire, I'm so like, I can't believe this is happening, and like arguing with reality and like really feeling like defeated and like, oh my God, something has to be done, an anxiety space, it's gonna feed more anxiety. If you are casting from a place where you know you are right, where you can step back just a half an inch even and be like, whoa, I can see with my spiritual self and my human self that all of this is chaos and it is out of whack, oh hell no, I'm going to contribute to the balance here. And I'm going to do that by being like, you fucked around, you're about to find out. There is a whole ton of negative energy that all these people have generated. It's just floating around out here. Well, I'm going to take it off slice by slice or huge chunk by huge chunk and just move that cloud back over them. I'm going to distribute to them what they've been throwing onto our side of the fence this whole time. And you don't have to send the exact same energy back to them. You just say energy that is exactly like what they've created, or this kind of energy, because this doesn't have to be a return. See, my FAFO candles aren't actually a return. They are a distribution. This to me is different. Whatever kind of energy that they have caused or results they have caused in others, whatever kind of negativity that has happened to other people, they're going to experience their own version of that. That energy is going to befall this group of people. This group has created X amount of harm. Okay, they're going to receive X amount of harm. And the other side's going to receive X amount of power, healing, love, whatever the fuck. Justice magic has to come from a place of being right. And you are right because you are understanding that higher spiritual connection that we put ourselves back in touch with already. You are right because you're remembering who you are and what you stand for. And just like how you don't allow someone who you love to mistreat you because it dishonors you and it dishonors them, you don't allow this kind of thing to happen in your world because that is not allowed. Absolutely not. So I want you to grab a hold of that defiance. I want you to be like, just because the bad things happened does not mean that they have any power over me. See, one of the things that I was writing about and that creative writing, whatever the hell it was, thing I was doing the other day, is like, I guess I had this moment with my own PTSD where it was like, I don't want to get taken out by my own fucking flashbacks. I don't want to be paralyzed for the rest of a day or even for 5 minutes. Didn't they paralyze me enough when the thing happened itself? And I guess that my inner defiance was just like, you know what? Fuck them. Like, no. I'm going to keep doing my grocery shopping. It can sit there and nag me, but you know what? I have ADHD. I have 1,000 things happening in my head all at once. So that's just one voice in a whole like orchestra of sounds happening up here. You know, it's just one image in my mind next to another one of me remembering something from high school or me visualizing the future or me trying to remember what the hell's on my to-do list. Like there's infinite things going on all at once. I'm just going to walk next to it and be like, sure, I can't stop you from being here, but I sure as fuck don't have to pay 100% attention to you either. And I'm not going to. And this is how I just learned to function. And I understand that's not possible potentially for everybody. I don't know. I'm just telling you that my own defiance has saved my own ass multiple times. Because I'm going to listen to what I'm going to listen to. And what I'm going to listen to is my inner self. And my inner self is connected directly to spirit. And that's all I'm going to listen to at the end of the day. And when you have defiance, a nice little healthy dose of it, you have the audacity, right, to stand there and be like, all of this is unacceptable and inappropriate. And I'm going to command the energy. I'm going to be putting those command codes into the energy because I can, because I'm a witch, because I recognize that I recognize energy. I recognize that I know how to influence energy. So it's my job to put some command codes in. And if people are behaving in a way that is unacceptable, I'm going to put in some command codes that are like, you're not allowed to be like that. If you're putting out energy that is traumatic and harmful and evil to others, well, I'm going to send some back to you. And here's the thing, guys. Energy can only land upon a person if there's a space for it. So if you're sending energy to someone and you're like, this person's super evil, and it turns out like they're somehow magically the most like kind, wonderful, good person that's ever existed, and you just like are twisted up and warped and like have like your own issues, and you can't see that they're actually good, so you think they're evil because whatever, and you're trying to put a hex on them or whatever because you think they're evil, but turns out they're just like this actual great person, your hex won't land on that person. There has to be a space for it to land. And if they have no room for any evil energy to be held by them because their energy vibrates at such a non-evil level, it's going to just dissipate. It's not going to do anything. It has nowhere to land. So this is one of the safeguards. This is science. This is not woo-woo, like convincing. This is how it works. Like if someone doesn't have a spot for the energy to land, it won't land. So if these people have authentically been creating harm and doing bad things, which we know is the case if we're talking about the current world situation, but even in your own personal life with things you're fixing or dealing with, it will land. You can't decide how it lands or what it looks like. That's not up to you, right? Your version of trauma might be very different than their version of trauma. Your version of a consequence might be very different than their version of consequence. And this is where it's important to leave it open for the universe to decide how those things manifest. We get ourselves in trouble when we get too specific about the exactitude of what we want to have happen. If this person's created harm, may they receive the equal experience that they have put out. Whatever, however you want to word it. My FAFO candle comes with wording. I made a video on how to use the FAFO oil. I think there's wording in that. I have infinite posts that are worded in a way. So just like maybe look for those because me writing them is way better than me just speaking them on the fly to you. So with all forms of justice magic, the most important thing is that you are standing firm in who you are. You are recognizing that you can control the energy. You are distributing it from a place of being like, this is how I demand the energy of my world to be. I am creating balance. Things are not okay with me. This is what happens. If someone has done something to someone and it's absolutely not okay, I will do whatever I see fit to balance that energy. You, as a witch, are a spiritually connected person who can see the energy, and ergo, in my worldview, are obligated to do something about what you see. I believe that you're obligated. You might not, and that's okay. Justice work is fulfillment of that obligation. Justice work is part of the duty of having the gifts that you have. We are here as ambassadors of that spiritual energy. And when things go unchecked, look at the evil that happens. Seriously, look at what unchecked power has become here. Do you see what's going on? And this is because of what? No one taking a stand against it. Because what? They're so worried about what if they do it wrong? I mean, the reality is like they're worried about what those people will do to them. I get that. But like I'm trying to build in some perspective here. Like we have to take a stand. And not all of us can be on the front lines or I don't know, whatever it is. But what we as witches can do is distribute energy. And we have to, and we should, but it has to come from the right place. I realize how much I'm repeating myself here. I'm doing it on purpose in a way because I'm trying to build your confidence and your understanding that like, not only is it okay to do justice work, it is actually imperative that you do justice work. Whatever form that takes, whatever that looks like to you. Because there's a lot of mundane level, day-to-day stuff that you can do that's justice aligned as well. Calling out your family members, we're past that. Most of us have done that already. Making your posts on social media, we're past that. Many of us are doing that, have done that already. But they count. Boycotting certain places, refusing to spend money with certain things. You know, one of the best things you can do right now in this economy is to support your friends who own small businesses. And if you own a small business, tighten up your ship, friends. Make that experience the best one your customers can possibly have. Be quick, be reliable, be dependable, be friendly. Because they're doing you a favor, so you're going to be really good to them too. But we have to support each other in this. Lots of mundane things you can do, but a lot of the mundane things feel ineffective right about now. And that's what's causing a lot of the spiraling. Turn to your magic, friends. Protect yourself, fill yourself up, have a joy dance party before you go cast some spells. But do some justice magic. If we can do it, we should do it. Did you hear Willow bark right when I said that? Wasn't that like, ooh, chills? Do some justice magic. Woof, woof, woof. You know what? I'm going to leave it on that note. I think I've repeated myself enough. I hope I've been like inspirational and helpful and supportive enough. And I'm proud of you. And I want you to cast your work from a place of empowerment and knowing that you're right. And knowing that you're here to distribute energy appropriately and create some balance for yourself and for others. Leave me questions or comments. If you are liking that my podcast is back, please share it with others. That would make my heart so happy. And find me on Substack. I'm really doing I am dropping sky gossips like it's nobody's business. And I'm gonna, at some point, I would love to record sky gossips as its own podcast. But we'll see. I won't get ahead of myself. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.